In 2005, Bobby Henderson, a graduate student, I believe at MIT, if I'm not mistaken, went to the great lengths to write an open letter to the Kansas State Board of Education, enunciating his very particular beliefs in a creator deity that looks apparently like a giant flying spaghetti monster with meatballs, and except that it's naked to the, it's invisible to the naked eye most of the time. There's a lot of metaphysical complexities of that I don't really understand. I'm a simple, my day job is a philosophy professor, and I can't touch the rarefied heights and extreme scope of thought that you'd have to kind of encompass to really understand the metaphysics of this religion. So I'm still kind of a student, let's say. I'm not really a very advanced scholar in this area of theology, but Mandy will illuminate us tonight and talk about why it matters, why pirates are very important in our lives, or should be if they're not yet. Pirates are a very important part of the faith. And why divine intoxication may have been part of the reason why we have so many things go wrong in this world. His noodliness, I'm not adherent to this faith, I'm a respectful guest tonight, but his noodliness allegedly was intoxicated when he created the universe, which is why we have evil and things like that. So, Mandy, I'm going to leave this, turn it over to you right now. Mandy Dutkiewicz is a student of mine at my world religions class. She took 2 classes with me simultaneously, which shows enormous courage or sheer folly.
No, I got activated too at the same time.
She was activated as military cop, military police at the same time. And then I get Army National Guard. And you are still active duty?
Yeah, currently.
So, you know, I had a conversation with Mandy about the theme of the Heyoka, who's kind of a sacred clown or holy fool in the Lakota tradition. The Heyoka are the people who, when it's blistering hot, really hot outside, they will come up to someone and say, please bring me some blankets, I can't handle this cold, and start shivering. And they'll pile on a dozen blankets, and then when it's really, really cold outside, they'll sit up naked and be, you know, totally just complaining and fanning themselves that it's so hot and this kind of thing. They upturn the established order. They overturn the sanctimonious kind of excesses in society. I saw a connection, because I didn't really understand how serious flying spaghetti monsterism was at the time. I saw what I thought was a connection between the Heyoka and this idea of divine madness or crazy wisdom, or the people who, the jester principle, people who overturn the high and the holy and the mighty and speak truth to power. And I thought a connection. I thought there was some connection, but Mandy quickly told me that she knew what I was talking about. This is a very serious religion, and I really had to go back to school because I missed something. So I don't want to keep bewildering you with my ignorance. I'm going to turn this over to a true expert in the tradition. Without further ado, Mandy Dutkiewicz, Reverend Mandy Dutkiewicz. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Well, Pastafarianism. What I would like to start out with, does anyone have any nagging questions, immediate questions that come to mind when they think of Pastafarianism? Any at all? Nope, then we'll just start out with...
Is that the preferred, is Pastafarianism the preferred moniker? Is that the preferred term?
It's flying spaghetti monsterism, Pastafarianism. On our dog tags, we can get atheist / Pastafarianism.
Are you getting those dog tags?
Yes, I really would like to. Or you can just have Pastafarian.
You know, I know the headgear has worked. I have a quick question. I know that there's a gentleman who did, you know, we've had some major victories. I have a friend, Satsuri Khalsa, whose husband, Guru San Khalsa, actually was the first Sikh American to get his turban kind of approved by the U.S. Army.
Oh, yes, I read that article.
That was a big case. So he was, I know the people in well, they're friends of mine actually. But as I understand it, I mean, so that was kind of a breakthrough for freedom in many ways. But as I understand it now, I don't think this has reached the military yet per se with a colander, but what was it for a driver's license photo that someone is now been able to wear a colander? The courts, some court has approved this.
Well, military, obviously, calendar would not suffice for
Would
any
not suffice.
proper headgear.
Wouldn't really protect you, wouldn't protect you very well, I would imagine. But as far as but I'm
There
wondering.
was a young male in Texas who procured a driver's license and he successfully got to wear a metal colander on his head. I did have the link in the slideshow, but I was informed that the internet would not be functioning today, so I will be basically, you're going to have to trust me word of mouth.
It's not the whole internet, just here. Okay, that's
Oh, yeah.
that point would be.
The IT guys work.
They picked really interesting times to mess everything up. So most of the time we're very grateful because most of the time things are not messed up. So they're responsible for that. But they picked an unusual time to turn the internet off on campus. So.
To make a note, Pastafarianism is indeed a real religion. It does have excuse me, I can't talk tonight. It's extremists. And I did find out, yes, there are people who are extremists about it and who go nuts about it. I can't even think about it. Religion in Pastafarianism isn't deep set. It's not necessarily passed down generation to generation. It can, if you wish it. It doesn't have to have literal beliefs either. You don't have to believe in the flying spaghetti monster to be a Pastafarian. You can be a Pastafarian. You can accept him as a mental whip. Oh, he's there. He's the reason why gravity exists. Which is actually the reason why gravity exists, is because the flying spaghetti monster, with his great noodly appendages, is holding you to the ground. Any of you vertically challenged in here, if I do not offend anyone?
Vertically
Shorter?
challenged people.
Okay, well,
But he favors vertically challenged people.
he does. Well, plus the flying spaghetti monster loves short people. And the first person he created was indeed a short person. So, there you go. Flying spaghetti monster loves you more. I'm sorry. But, like I said, if any of you heard me in the back, there is no dogma in Pastafarianism. Yeah, there you go. The only dogma is the rejection of dogma. That's on the slide. That's my slides. Anyone interested in joining and being a Pastafarian or being a reverend, I can help you there if anyone wants to be a reverend. It's really, really simple. You can go get your marriage license, go marry a couple people easily. I'm working on that right now. You're now a Pastafarian if you want to. If you really want to be. You're doing it right now. Slurping your noodles. Eating them. There you go.
But hold on a second. You're saying that by virtue of your believing I'm a Pastafarian,
Yes.
I'm a Pastafarian.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You don't have to if you don't want to be.
Then I see. Okay.
Do you have to eat pasta?
No, because I'm gluten. I'm allergic to gluten. I have a severe gluten allergy, so I don't eat the fully pasta. Or I can't. I really can't. It causes me really horrible allergic reactions and abdominal pains. Hard. So I suffice with rice products, which is okay. You don't necessarily have to eat it. There's no rules against it. There's as a later slide in the slideshow, there will be the 8 commandments, or the I really rather you didn't. And it explains whether you should shove your belief on other people or just accept it as, or not even believe it. The joining process to be a Pastafarian is it's been stated in many of Avi Henderson, the creator of Pastafarianism. A lot of his websites and blogs says there's really no hardship with it whatsoever. And bear with me, I'm not much of a public speaker. There's a difference in grounded morality and flimsy morality with Pastafarianism, which I forgot to mention a while ago. Grounded morality, it's all subjective, individual moralities. It's past experience, subjective. People you trust and respect, their past experience. If they're good situations, they learn well from their past. And modern ethics. Obviously, you're not going to go out and kill someone. Don't do that. He does not like that. Flying Spiritman does not like that.
Does he do anything?
Well, if you know, the violation of your own morals is your responsibility, and his noodliness does not cater to punishments when morals are broken. Unless it's something really bad, and then chopped up somebody's eyeball because religious necessity. yeah, the proper authorities will attend to that. Flimsy morality is contradiction. And you'll note that later in part of the 8. I'd really rather you didn't. Any questions so far? No? Okay. I figured it'd be too bright in here, so I made it black. The 8, I'd really rather you didn't. If you're willing to read that, go ahead. I have edited it to the easily offended with swears, so at least I hope I did.
You can read them off. I think one
Okay. I'm sorry. I'd really rather you didn't act like a sanctimonious holier than thou when describing my noodly goodness. If some people don't believe in me, that's okay, really. I'm not that vain. Besides, this isn't about them, so don't change the subject. I'd really rather you didn't use my existence as means to oppress, subjugate, punish, eviscerate, and or, be mean to others. Don't require sacrifices and purities for drinking water, not people. I do recommend reading the Holy Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and that does exist. It's about $9 on Amazon. I really recommend it.
Some great microloans. I think they've generated at least $1 million, maybe more in microloans for businesses in the developing world from sales from that scripture. So it's been some real good that's come out of this text.
I'd really rather you didn't judge people for the way they look, how they dress, or the way they talk, or, well, just play nice, okay? Oh, get this through your thick heads. Woman equals person. Man equals person. Samey. One is not better than the other unless talking about fashion. And I'm sorry, but I gave that to women and some guys who know the difference between teal and fuchsia. I'd rather you didn't indulge in conduct that offends yourself or your willing, consenting partner of legal age and mental maturity. As for anyone who might object, I think the expression is go yourself, unless they find that offensive, in which case they can turn off the TV for once and go for a walk for a change. Okay, that got checked out. Yeah, happens. I'd really rather you didn't challenge the bigoted, misogynistic, hateful ideas of others on an empty stomach. Eat, then go after me. I'd really rather you didn't build multi-million-dollar churches, temples, mosques, shrines to my noodly goodness when the money could be better spent. Take your pick. A, ending poverty. B, curing diseases. C, living in peace. Loving with passion and lowering the cost of table. I might be a complex carbohydrate, omniscient being, but I enjoy simple things in life. I'm the creator. I'd really rather you didn't go around telling people I talk to you. You're not that interesting. Get over yourself. And I told you to love your fellow man. Can't you take a hint? I'd really rather you didn't do unto others as you would have them do unto you if you are into stuff that uses a lot of leather lubrication in Las Vegas. If the other person is into you, however, persuade number 4, then have at it. Take pictures. For the love of me, wear a condom. Honestly, it's a piece of rubber. If you didn't want it to feel good when you did it, would have added spikes or something. And these are the I really rather you didn't. Still do it. It's not going to punish you. Just think about it. Holidays. Anyone? Because I couldn't use the link. Anyone familiar what September 19th is? Every year. And it's because of Pastafarianism this exists.
September 19th, is everybody?
Anybody?
Arr! It's International Buck Like a Pirate Day.
It is. Actually, there's another one. If any of you had Avast antivirus, they have a program where you can actually make it talk like a pirate. And it is called Avast. Avast. Okay. And just a side note,
Aren't pirates, we always think pirates are bad people. Why are we trained to think they're bad people when there's...
because we've been corrupted to the idea that they're...
And aren't some pirates, there are some behind their back.
Oh yes, they're really bad pirates, but some of them weren't. Like they were just...
They didn't start out bad?
No, they were explorers. They wanted to travel the world looking for treasure and gold and other minerals and stuff like that. But we've been completely brainwashed to the idea that they were pillagers and murderers and other sorts of...
Illuminate us about pirates. I know they're an important part of your faith tradition. I really want to know as much as...
The more pirates that there are, the less global warming. And for example, because of the piracy level has gone down, our global warming has gone up. We realize how hot it is during the summer. Come on, you really think the amount of pirates right now is that large? Come on, really? Really? Come on. The Somalian pirates, though, I don't think we have any affiliation with. They're kind of out there in their own little world.
But what about DVD piracy? Because that's way up.
DVD piracy, it actually promotes the sales better of the products in particular.
Just check.
Yep. Piracy's still okay, actually. You'll see that, where did I post that? Actually, it was in one of the links. The Flying Spaghetti Monster promotes the smuggling and piracy at any given time. You'll see that in the Flying Spaghetti Monster Gospel if you choose to procure that. Passover, similar aspect to Jewish Passover and the Christian Easter, in which feasting on pasta is had and the traditional passing of the eye patch occurs, which is basically the talking stick. Everyone shuts up while the person who has the eye patch is talking. But it's usually jovial speeches, talking about why they became Pastafarians or how his noodliness touched their lives. Ramadan, similar to the Islamic time of fasting and prayer, though to actual prayer, no actual prayer and fasting occurs. Instead, we spend about a week dining on nothing other than ramen. It's to remind us what we have is special, as we've accumulated money and items and basically improved our lives. It reminds us that we've come far, and it's always recommended through Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster that you give to charity any of extra food or ramen that you have. You're giving other people food when you're really well off. It works. And his noodliness will love you after that. Love you more than short people.
Wow.
Holiday, it encompasses all winter holidays. Basically, that's why we say happy holidays. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, everything. If you say, because even though we have no dogma, we're still not about outright offending anyone. I mean, you have the freedom of speech. It does give me the right to offend you, but I'm not going to outright personally attack you. I mean, I could say my own personal views just in general, and okay, it offends you. Happens. Every Friday is a holiday. You must dress up like a pirate and eat pasta. You ever notice how a lot of kids' school games are on weekends, and they have to eat pasta Friday night, or even Thursday night? Thursday night's a little sketchy, but Friday night, pasta. And I loved Encyclopedia, by the way. I never really viewed it all that often, and then it gave me a great insight on Pastafarianism. The creation myth, the drunken big boil or big bang was an automated creation myth, just came out of the woodwork. The first day, Flying Spaghetti Monster created trees and grass and land and a midget. If I do not offend anyone, literally.
Short person.
Small person.
Small person.
Yep. And on the next 3 days, he created everything else, and then he invented the 3-day weekend. In the automated creation, after quite a vicious bender, the Flying Spaghetti Monster came down and passed out on the bed, and then in a subsequent fit, in his passed out drunkenness, he fell off the bed, and thus the universe was created. And, yeah.
Where's the beer volcano going?
Oh yes, I was going to get to that. The afterlife. The afterlife, when you die and your body grows the wheat in which we create most pasta. Heaven is majorly consistent with a beer volcano and a hooker factory. Plenty of hooker factories, actually. I had a couple visuals for you, but obviously that's not going to work right now. Apparel, it is very much okay to wear pirate regalia and calendars, very much wear calendars. So the military doesn't institute us allowing us to wear calendars because the structural integrity of that would be.
Could they have bulletproof calendars?
I don't know. That's a good question.
There'd just be dress calendars for your dress uniform.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, Oh, that's genius. I'm gonna push that up to my friend.
Because that's what the Sikh thing is, you know, you don't wear a Sikh
Right, exactly.
helmet, you wear
Right.
a Sikh dress.
That's right, right.
Turban.
He had a couple
I
that
like
were
that.
digitalized, if I remember correctly. He had wrappings that were digital. Definitely check out Encyclopedia for Pastafarianism. It's very insightful. I loved it.
The encyclopedia is one of the most entertaining and probably most offensive things I've ever seen on the internet, just to give you guys a heads up. There's some very, very,
I can fill you in on some other sites that might not.
I'm sure I'm very naive actually, but I mean, that's, this is,
No, it's great. I loved
just,
it.
it's, this is sort of intellectually and just conceptually offensive. There's just a lot of, I mean, the randomness of the internet has a higher concentration on the encyclopedia than probably any other place, but it's also just gratuitously kind of.
The reason why I liked it though was
But this article in particular is a great article.
the thing about Pastafarianism is it is what you say it is. It will always expand and morph to how you want it. That's just how it
It
is.
sounds very truthy, that's a lot of truthiness to it.
Yeah,
How-
very, very
How
true.
you feel in your gut, that's what Pastafarianism is.
It is, and it's changing every day. Like Pastafarianism is to me is, I don't know. I don't eat pasta every day because I can't obviously eat it because I'm allergic. I eat a lot of rice though. That's still great. Pasta noodles and stuff. Fighting absurdity with absurdity. Pastafarianism was created in 2005 by Bobby Henderson against the Kansas School Board. They were trying to put evolution and intelligent design in the same science classroom at equal time. Bobby Henderson said, no, well, this doesn't look good because, you know, kids aren't gonna get the idea of what science is supposed to be. There's supposed to be a separation between fact and, I'm gonna say truth because truth is also subjective. It's, so whatever, somebody's truth could be a false to somebody else. He wrote a letter explaining that he wanted flying spaghetti monsterism or Pastafarianism equal time in the classroom with intelligent design and evolution. Well, he won. He won, and intelligent design was not introduced into the science classes. It was a big step up for separation of science and religion. Currently, are they still arguing that with students being able to pick answers they felt was the right
Oh,
answer?
we talked about that, that's right, I remember that conversation. It was, now that was in Ohio though, wasn't that?
I think, was it? I think it was Ohio.
But this whole idea that we sort of, with some people objecting to multiple choice tests, that the idea that any answer that you feel is correct should be acceptable as an answer. This is actually this is currently being discussed in some major state school board or another.
They're currently appointing a panel to review the science textbooks that are used in Texas as to whether or not they should include evolution stuff.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And that effectively trickles down to the rest of the country only because
Right.
the biggest states buy the most textbooks, so the textbook manufacturers cater to them.
So that's absolutely true. And textbooks in Texas, for example, refer to the Civil War as the War of Northern Aggression, and make very little mention of some significant people in U.S. history. It's very selective. So that as Texas goes, so goes much of the rest of the country, as Jonas says. Absolutely.
It's interesting you
Yes,
mentioned
Joe.
that. It reminded me of something. About 3 or 4 years ago, I began to believe in the 21st century in a new concept, devolution. I think the human race is becoming stupid.
Oh, I can attest to that one. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I can definitely attest to that one because here's an example. How many of you know how your cell phone works? Oh, I mean, do you know electronically? Do you know how all this? Okay, I'm pretty sure.
Good.
This one's continuing is keeping his hand up, so I'm pretty sure all the electronic workings. I'm not
For
familiar
some
with.
reason, these Pastafari events attract science people. I don't know what the heck it is. It just
I,
seems like
personally, I'm an artist. I'm an artist and I'm a soldier, so I've got weird things going on in my head that don't involve technology. I love chemistry though. Most people do not know how their televisions, computers, phones, most cars run. They just want it to run. Like I've got a smartphone. I don't know how that works. I don't know how a touch screen works. Do a lot of wiki about how certain things work, but Still don't know. And that's that's what I think is one of the problems with what's going on and how we're evolving, I guess I could pronounce it that way. Getting hunchback, going back to caveman, because we're over our computers too much. Big eyes, glasses, can't see, squinting in the light, yeah. Back to like Stone Ages. Anyway, I'm sorry, there's my tirade. I definitely recommend reading. I read it the other night, Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal. I loved it. I loved it so much. It was so good. It was about fattening malnourished children of larger families and feeding them to the populace in order to prevent or cut down on unemployment, overpopulation, and starvation. It's completely satirical, though. I do not.
Someone has suggested that that's actually an earlier scripture that influenced the Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Because it was during potato famine, starch, you know.
This is- I'm not going to weigh in on this opinion. It's an interesting thesis, anyway.
Yeah, that's the end of my set. So I'm good with questions. Obviously I don't react very well to reading off. Any really questions? Throw them at me. I'm not easily offended, by the way.
You mentioned that men and women are equal in this religion, but the heaven side of things seems pretty one-sided, would you say?
Depending on your concept of women, I mean, it could be just machinery. Yeah, okay, there are hoovers, but some people like doing that. Some people take that as a profession because they enjoy doing it. And my idea for having, at least with the Pastafarianism, it's a concept. I don't believe it's an actual physical. I don't believe you actually capacitating that space. And if that makes sense. At least that's just my opinion. Anyone else could have a different opinion? Any other questions? I mean, go ahead.
Is it related to Rastafarianism at all?
Nope, it's just changed to PNR. We don't believe in toking in any way whatsoever. Sorry, I've never studied Rastafarianism, so I'm probably making a complete misinformed judgment, put it that way.
False marijuana.
How many adherents?
Elaborate.
How many members of the religion?
Oh, 2 million so far strong in the United States alone. We have a couple of clusters out in Europe. I'm not familiar with the amount on that one.
Is there some creative accounting going on though? Because like you said earlier, we just kind of like eat pasta and slip our rules that we become, I mean, come on, how are we doing this? I don't mean to be a naysayer or a skeptic, but so be it. I mean, how do we do this?
Well,
How do you know?
How is the counting done?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a register?
They're trying to get a register actually in the United States right now, but it's mostly self-proclaimed Pastafarians. Whatever blogs, if anyone goes on Tumblr, the amount of Pastafarian posts are ridiculous. Or even Facebook or Twitter, a lot of them. Just out of speculation and people who've openly admitted their religion. A lot of soldiers are Pastafarians. I have about 3 in my unit alone who are Pastafarians, including myself. Very good people, very funny.
You put it on the census form?
Say again?
When they come around and do the census, you know.
You can. I mean, I don't know. Go ahead.
How did you get into the religion?
How did I get into religion? I got into a conversation one day with a couple of my atheist friends, and I was still conflicting with my religions right now. Obviously, I'm not ready for really a heavy religion in my life right now. And one of them mentioned the invisible pink unicorn, if any of you are familiar with that one.
Is this a sect or something that's? I'm completely.
It's not a
confused
sect. It's a separate idea for atheism. It shows.
Oh, it's a different. That's a different faith entirely.
It is and it isn't. It shows again the extremist side to religion. One of the big things with Pastafarianism, it shows extremists exactly what they're looking at, the absurd fact of Pastafarianism. It exists. It's going to exist, and people still get mad at it. I know a lot of people get mad when I tell them I'm Pastafarian. It's not a real religion. It's a religion because I believe it is. Deal with it. Done. Any other questions? I'm sorry.
Does the religion have a concept of miracles?
That's just the flying spaghetti monster.
So the monster itself.
Yep, that's him. He's doing it. Okay. He's the reason, like I said, he's the reason we have gravity. He's holding us to the ground with his noodly appendages.
So,
Though he's getting, that's why we're getting so tall as of late, because he's starting to lessen his hold on us.
Now, as I understand it, one of the ways that the flying spaghetti monster, and I, again, in my own limited understanding, tests our faith, is that every single time, a fossil is found, let's say, is a fossil, a dinosaur fossil, his noodliness is actually changing the data with his noodly appendages.
Yep.
So that's every single time, no exceptions to that. And so that we are tested. We are tested into thinking that the Earth is a lot older than it actually is, right?
I read it was a smaller post, somebody had mentioned that the Earth was like 1,000 years old, which is a little bit of a extremist run. I don't know.
Are the Pastafarians who are claiming 1,000 now? Is that
I think that they might be. I don't know. Though we're not a hive mind, as it were, like some religions do.
Well, one of the definitions of miracle that is fed by other religions is that there are occurrences that are would otherwise not happen. They're unnatural. In other words, a miracle is defined as an unnatural act. In other words, that's why you can't have a miracle in science.
Well, miracle. That's a subjective term. In Pastafarianism, it happens because the flying spaghetti monster made it so. It's not necessarily a miracle. It's not necessarily a disaster. It's an accepted happening.
But I guess what I'm asking is, do you have any miracles? In other words, in Christianity, for example, there are witnesses who claim blah blah blah, right? And the texts say this was a miracle, and so we have examples of these. But in this religion, are there any examples of miracles?
It's usually tagged to science on occasions. The flying spaghetti monster created these tools in which we could use to do what we will. He created all the elements in order for us to put them together to create medication. Okay, let's take cancer. There you go.
So if the flying spaghetti monster is responsible for gravity, does he consider it, or she, whatever it is, consider it sacrilegious, the LHC's search for the Higgs boson?
Nope.
No, I'm fine with that.
It's human growth. He created us to grow. Or what's yeast? Germinate?
Similar question: would an individual be free to accept evolution if Pastafarians believe the Earth is younger than what science would tell us?
Well, why not? There's no dogma.
If the monster approaches the sun, can the monster be overcooked?
That's a really big question.
Overcooked? Why would it get close to the sun?
It's made out of meatballs and pasta.
I
Does he have to travel from one part of the universe?
Hypothetical.
Yeah, I mean, does it have to travel from parts of the universe to maintain a
Well,
temperature?
it incapacitates everything and nothing.
Okay.
And that's
So
why
it's not a
weird.
physical being, it's then,
It isn't. It isn't.
okay.
Did you have a question earlier? I swear I saw
Oh,
you.
no, you mentioned you like chemistry, so how do you explain carbon dating if the Earth is only 1,000 years old?
Because the flying spaghetti monster put it there. He made us think that we could carbon date everything.
Why? Why?
He's testing.
He's testing us, testing our faith.
For what?
Just in case we believe in him or not.
Okay.
I think I'm showing my contradiction here. In the back.
I attended a session this morning at County Waterbury on the 50th anniversary of the JFK assassination, and there were probably about 190 people there. I would say, listening to most of them talk, I actually find this session more rational than that session.
I'm going to ask with the speakers?
Well, it was the lifelong, part of the Lifelong Learning Institute at UConn, so the average person was probably 72, 73.
Were they mumblers? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I just gotta throw that out there, because I'm a mumbler sometimes too. I'm questioning whether y'all can hear me. Normally I'm very projective,
No,
but.
there was a microphone and everything, it was very clear. But not necessarily rational.
Yeah.
Was there sort of a lot of kind of hero worship going on then? Was that the?
Well, no, it was all conspiracy theories.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
Yeah. I see.
Those are great.
Second shooters,
Or
KGB,
5 or 6.
Russian army.
As a pastafarian, do you have to say bless you when somebody sneezes?
I usually say you're welcome.
You say that?
Yes.
When you say, but over grace, you say Ramen.
Oh yeah, after we pray, we say Roman. Or, well, we don't necessarily pray, where we just, Amen. Yeah. If you're agreeing with something, like, you know how some people say,
Well, I think, by the way, I think that Buckminster Fuller would have been a great fan of flying spaghetti monsterism movement. He once said about conspiracy theorists, the only problem he could find with conspiracy theorists is that they didn't understand the meaning of the word maybe. It's the only problem. Words not in the vocabulary.
They're unclear on the definition of a scientific theory, that's why.
I'm sorry?
They're unclear on the definition
Yeah.
of what a scientific theory
Right.
is.
That's right. That's right.
Some people have a problem believing in gravity.
oh, I'm one of those, I'm sorry.
Okay.
My dad and I are both experimental physicists.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Elaborate on that? I'm gonna wanna. Do I have to? My dad and I just been, I don't know, he pulled me out of school at like 9 o'clock in the morning 3 years ago, and we sat in the car till like 4 p.m. in the parking lot of my school discussing this. So, my dad has autism, high functioning autism, but he's a savant, and he's a cryogenic specialist, he's a mathematician, and he's a physicist. But these are all acquired, he doesn't have any doctorates, no, he's a truck driver. And he transports liquid nitrogen and oxygen all through New England. Anyways, who had a question in the back?
I was just saying, you could tie pastafarianism with string theory and use that to explain all the physics
Yeah.
questions you get.
Oh my god. I actually just recently read the article about that.
Chemistry. I'm trying to remember.
Molecular
Biology, I'm sorry.
I don't care about physics.
I see. That explains your, okay, gotcha.
Most gravity keeps it in the future.
David, by the way, is the first president in recent history of the Tunxis Philosophy Club back from 2007, I believe, right? 2008? Whatever, just, so we're very honored to have him here. My oldest friend, one of my oldest friends ever, Jonah Cohen, is here. Not oldest, but goes back. I'm saying oldest, and you're not the eldest of my friends, but in terms of enduring friendships, 1978 we've been friends since 4th grade, so I'm really honored to have Jonah here today. We have in our audience, well, that's a lot of Philosophy Club staples, and Fernando Macaro is in the Philosophy Club, who's up this year for several months, and arranged the first Potluck of the club, so this is the second Potluck of the year. Will Roche has been active early on. He wrote a piece for the Tunxis Sun, kind of a Swiftian, ironic piece, right, on the importance of the Tunxis Philosophy Club, which is great. So we honor Jonathan Swift today, too. Steve Ersinghouse, I've known since 1995. We were both starting migrant adjunct faculty members. Much more at home because of Steve's incredible discussions of Kundera and Gabriel Garcia Marquez and St. Augustine. It's quite amazing stuff. Johnny Blaze. Johnny was involved in a great debate on the existence of God. Baron Bruno, who's in the Trinity now, took the stance of a religion atheist. John took the stance of a religion atheist, I think, and I'm not mistaken, more or less. Will Mitchell, thank you for coming. We have just Elizabeth Jackson as a current vice president of the Philosophy Club. Montes is basically a physicist and what do you say? which third world country are you ruling these days? Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
I'm working my way up.
That's right.
Latvia.
I actually
has
talked
a-
about that, that's right. You find him an ex-Latvia, right? That's the,
Yeah.
he doesn't care that I have Latvian ancestry, he just kind of assumes that this is okay to talk about this. My feelings were slightly hurt, but the friendship outweighs the feelings. But I want to thank very, very much, Arda Testjan is here, he's the current president of the Philosophy Club. We're back there, Arda. Thank you so much for arranging so much of this today. We really everybody had a man and putting this together. And Allison, what is your last name?
Allison Hunt.
Allison Hunt, you're in the library. She knows more about South Indian music, which no one else at Tunxis does. I was very impressed with that. So we very quickly. And as a parent, I've also known since 1995, and I'm just really grateful. But thank you so much for coming. And Lazada, she was to class with me also, and just one of my favorite people here. Thank you so much. Rick Lucas, we salute you. Robert Smith, the same. Thank you. And Jerry, I met you once before in passing. You teach sociology. We have three look at this straight. We have right now we have three sociologists in the room. We have Newton Mishra here also. Where did she go? She's ready.
She had to pick up my mother.
She brought the lovely akin noodles, which is every culture, every society has its own version of Chinese food, including China's frenemy, India. And so India has its akin noodles, and they put paneer cheese instead of tofu. That's what they do. So that's very nice to tradition. Anyway, she's a sociologist. She was actually a tenured faculty member at the University of Benares in India, which is a very, very famous university. And her husband got a job in the insurance world here, and she came out here, and we're very, very lucky to have her as a result of that. And Jerry, you've been with us for a while too, right? Sociology?
Well, not conducted fairly 9 years here. I started last year.
Great. We're very happy to have you here. And let's see, I'm missing. And your name is Jill, sir?
That's correct.
And you have a PhD in philosophy from Princeton. Or that's what?
I'm a philosopher.
You're a philosopher.
I became a farmer.
Oh, pardon me.
I became a farmer.
Sorry?
I became a farmer.
You're a farmer. Well, that's more useful than what we do here. That's great. What kind of farmer do you do?
Well, actually, I grew a long time grew raspberries, blackberries, berries, gooseberries, tomatoes, all kinds of things.
And you're doing this. You're not doing this now. You're doing this now.
Started writing documentary television.
You started.
Writing documentary television.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool. What's your? I'm sorry. I'm just grilling you. What kind of documentary is it?
We're working on a project on the American Communist Party.
Oh.
1930 to 56.
Wow. Very interesting. And Ben, I hope you keep me apprised of interesting. I love documentary. We had a great, I don't remember her name, it was a great documentary filmmaker here. Teresa Hamilton invited me to part of the Red Festival years ago, I think back in 2010. And it was very interesting because she actually introduced the crucial factor in writing effective documentaries is you have to follow the same basic rules of drama and fiction, except that it's real, right? In other words, you still have to have, ideally, a kind of a protagonist. Aaron Sorkin, who wrote The West Wing and A Few Good Men, he said, the basic rule of drama is that somebody wants something, and something or someone is getting in the way of their achievement or their having it, right? And so to some level, if that isn't there, people don't want to follow the story, right?
Story.
Right, exactly. That's a crucial thing. It's sort of obvious in a way, but I was like, oh, I guess that's really cool. That works for that too. It's very cool. Well, thank you all very much for coming. Anybody has any other thoughts? We have booked this room until 7, so I encourage you to talk amongst yourselves. And I certainly answer any questions about Tunxis philosophy and the humanities from. We have a new blog actually, which we cannot access now because the internet is over. The internet is over, and there will be no more internet.
Thanks, Flying Spaghetti Monster.
No, sorry.
That's right. But I have a blog. We launched a blog yesterday. Our Department of Humanities in Action blog, which is kind of dedicated to that's it. It's humanitiesinaction.com or HIA-Tunxis.com. And it's kind of a reaction to something that happened during the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment, roughly 1650 to 1800, the European Enlightenment, marked a civil war in the discipline of philosophy, or beginnings of the Civil War, which was now become an absolute civil war. It's impossible just about to get a job as a philosopher today. It's almost impossible if you're what we call a continental philosopher. They're the artsy-fartsy philosophers, as opposed to the mathematical scientists. I'm being a little harsh. Being one of them, I can be harsh on them.